of their control, out of their hands, but everything else that they're trying to do here is so insanely difficult to execute versus a team of players who have played this aggressive style, have played around Chovy's Yone, the tempo advantage he's going to get. They've got Talia, for Pete's sake, for controlling the early game. Like, I am really worried about this just snowballing out of control before we even hit 15 minutes.
We also have to talk about the genius that is the Vayne pickup as well. Harma Life Esports, obviously we're looking at an Aphelios for that last pick, does add a lot of range to this low range composition, but then you spot the fact that there is zero range, basically. On side of Fred at Brion, they're like, well, we may as well just play Vayne here because it's a perfect opportunity to utilize a lower range 80 carry underneath this turret. So really good, trying to put down the Vayne as best they can. That hook was amazing though as the playback onto Henna. Will take a lot of damage here, as at least they do have the Attract Repel to give that little bit of extra resistance.
Operate around this Drake though. Delight is going to scout this out, but I think he's just unfortunately too late to do anything.
Yeah, they don't have the Lilia in the area whatsoever. See what else they can transition into as Lava will get the Facebreaker off onto Chovy as Vista. That's a really long hook. As the Weaver's Wall comes down, Arthur wanting to get over the wall but doesn't find the flick. And now Harma Life Esports in position to back away as Hoya throws down the barrel. Perfect delivery onto the Thresh, and that'll be first blood to Henna, of all people. A great start for Fred at Brion. Chovy is going to be able to avoid the Haymaker there as Henna diving in onto Deft. Condemn underneath the turret as Deft has to flash. And does so successfully. Henna, as Hoya does have a body slam, and he's going to get out. Just a lot of regen on both sides here as Vista is going to spot these two. And it looks like they're going to try and escape. Umpty in position. He gets immediately exhausted. He will be able to grab himself the Drake, but at the cost of his life, and a kill over to Chovy, which is so dangerous. Tidy that one up for himself. He's down by about 10 CS, but it's probably fine, actually, for Vayne in this matchup, as Chovy knows that he needs to ult out of there. Arthur not going to be so lucky, and he'll be taken down very squishy. Is able to move back now to relative safety is now Chovy looking for Lava. He's taking so much damage. Haymaker not even going to be utilized, as I believe it was on cooldown. Yeah, true. It's like not utter domination, but it's not like the problem solves. In goes Harma Life Esports. Chovy finds the ulti into the backline. It's a double flick kill, as just before he goes back to his soul, Chovy grabs yet another kill. Morgan's going to be able to take a Lantern Ride to safety, and that should be an Infernal Drake.
Time for Deft, or rather for Chovy to have a perfect engage here. And this is the tempo advantage that Yone is always looking for, is around the mid game, having a small lead, crazy attack speed, going and ult for big kills. And, you know, we talked about it, Valdez and I did in that Gen G series about, okay, yeah, the Yone pick, how much value can they get? Are they going to get a tempo advantage? In that game, they got a massive advantage. This is a more realistic advantage, but it's still enough for a pick, because Chovy's at it again.
Oh dear, speaking of getting kidnapped. Yeah, it's just not really working out here as Lava. He does have the Haymaker this time, but he almost dies because they know that there's just no way for Fred at Brion to approach, and if they do, then they just break off and grab themselves the fight. As Barrel is going to slow down Vista, the Baron does just fall down as Vista's going to throw back the hook. Chovy now looks for the ult. He doesn't actually find anyone and immediately goes back to the Unbound Soul. He'll fall asleep. He gets further away. Henna now trying to fight in the exhaust is immediate, but Chovy should be going down. They lock down the Yone, and now it's the Gragas that's out of position. You can see Deft trying to get into the right spot to start off this fight. He grabs a double kill to begin this one, but he's down to 200 health now, and Morgan picks up the charge. He's gigantic on this Aatrox, and yeah, you may have taken down Chovy, but the rest of the team is also fed. Well, one thing that we
looking for a turret.
Yeah, one thing we do need to say is that Chovy now doesn't have the Baron buff, so his split push isn't quite as powerful as the ulti comes in immediately. They lock down the Kaiser, and you may have been saying Choky in chat, but you are going to eat those words now as he gets the perfect pick. And now Harma Life will be able to wreck these turrets.
Go to Thresh here as well. It's just so terrifying.
I think it's actually a different length when it's Chovy that's playing. As he was thinking about grabbing an Infernal Soul, but now Harma Life want to stop this Baron from being taken down. This is an aggressive play as, yeah, Morgan getting that flank as we set up the wall. Arthur wants to flash in, is going to steal away the Baron, and now the fight should be going in favor of Harma Life. Arthur goes into his Zonyas. Can he keep himself alive? As Chovy fighting off on the backside. Deft is free hitting. This is going to be an ace, and this is going to be the game for Harma Life Esports, and they make it look easy.
The defense was too good. The, ult in, steal away the Weaver's Wall there from Arthur was perfect. And they just end up getting a great team fight with the flank there from Morgan. I thought it was a good idea from Fred at Brion, probably their best that they had, the best decision they made all series, but it was, again, too little, too late. That's the end of it.
Yep, that's going to be game.
Take they just get shut down. Really nice ult from Arthur
Oh,
to come
man.
and clean it up. But
That
let's take a look at the damage. Yeah. And the lack thereof, unfortunately, for Set, you know? And they weren't able to convert his showstoppers into isolated picks onto Deft, onto Chovy, like the way they wanted to, especially onto Deft, right? I think that's what the function of this draft really is when you look at the mid set, but it just doesn't work out at the end of the day. And it's a really tragic loss here for Fred at Brion because they didn't get anything done in either of these maps.
Yep, absolutely no options given over to them. And Chovy once again showing that he can pick up a game and win it by himself. It's what happens when Yone gets too far ahead, but watching Chovy play it is just so beautiful. So, oh man, I mean, when are we going to see the best of Chovy? I just don't know, and I don't know whether it's ever going to happen.
하나생명이 파죽지세 4연승을 달립니다. 이 세트는 하나생명의
forward and they
손안에
have
있었던
reached the
경기였는데요.
4-match winning streak
뱀픽에서는
here in the
탑백이 많이
LCK
나오자
spring
두 팀
split.
모두 상체를
What's your take on the
완성하는데 좀
draft?
빠르게 서둘렀던 것 같아요.
그렇습니다. 원딜 쪽에서 지금 1티어
The God tier champion in the marksman is Kai'Sa, so bro locked in as a B1 card. It was really impressive to Hana Life Esports to answer it back with R1 Aatrox and completed the first phase pick with Talia. So they completed their topside pick in a very early phase. They went with a very confident style of picks, even locking in Yone for Chovy. And we saw Seraphine ban coming out in the second ban phase because Reddit is not a team that utilizes it a lot, but Vayne does have a very hard time up against those ranged champions, so they were not putting their guards down. They were staying really alert to get rid of all the possible kind of bumps on the road. So this time around as well, Hana Life was one step ahead of Fred at Brion. Fred at Brion with the new patch 11.2. They actually didn't really put too much effort to bring in something new because game number 2 was all about Yone carrying the game and also Hana Life Esports pulling up better team fights. At the same time, they were showing good mechanics in the early game, especially absorbing the gank and the turret dive attempt from the Hana Life Esports, but somehow Fred at Brion, they kind of dropped their lead in their hands. The lead was slipped away in the mid and late game, but we also want to praise the performance in the early game. Whereas during the cast backup, Hana Life was showing very weak teamwork, but this time around they were moving as one team. Let's take a look at this mid lane fight and hear from the players.
나이스. 성공. 더블. 1차?
It was a
별
very
얘기가
clean
없어서 알찬
fight and not
이제
many
별 얘기가
voice comms going back and forth, but it's really impressive to see that even without too many dialogues, they were able to pull off a very clean and well-timed, synchronized team fight with all 5 players. When one player calls out for one fight, they just go all in, they follow their lead, and also they manage to kind of win the team fight very easily.
의미 있는 침묵인 것 같습니다.
Very powerful silence coming out from Hana Life voice comms. Because in the previous match, a lot of people actually highlighted the solo carry performance coming out from Chovy himself, but this time around, the 5 of the members were doing their role perfectly. And today, Fred at Brion was not able to show any form of aggressiveness up against Hana Life. Thresh was overstepping a little bit, but Yone went in, which looked like a very risky position, but they went back. A very OP skill. But somehow they were going all in for this Yone kill, but watch Rel over here. The Light got isolated with his carry players. So this was a very good position for Hana Life Esports to take the fight back. Hana Life, even though they were in a bad position for that fight, they kept their concentration forward and they kept fighting. And in order to kind of equalize the result of team fights.
특히나 상대가 초내면
네.
And as a result,
점사를 해야
Freddy
했는데
Brion was
그런
not
부분이
able to
아쉬웠던
turn the
프레디
game
브리온이었고요.
around, even having
하나생명의
a
승리의
team fight
중심에는
in
누가
their own
있었는지
favor.
2세트 POG 만나보겠습니다.
The player of the game will go over to Chovy on Yone once again.
지난 경기에 이어서
네.
또다시 딱 1대
Another perfect Yone performance coming out from Chovy, and also already 600 points on POG. The sole possession of POG #1 spot is on the hand of Chovy.
다른 표현 쓰죠. 저희.
원하도 포인트.
그건 좀 예민한 표현.
아, 예, 죄송합니다.
Chovy is on another level compared to other players here in the league.
KDA가 15가 나온다고요.
네.
Chovy's KDA in
아, 근데 그것도 그건데
Supreme
분당
split on
데미지
Yone is
차이가
actually
플러스
15,
500.
which is really
골드
ridiculous.
차이가 5,600. 그러니까 골드는 그렇다 치면 분당 데미지 차이
And also, he is ahead in gold and also the damage per minute compared to his counterpart. So we can really see Chovy is definitely a very outstanding player here in the LCK.
요네라는 챔피언이 뭔가 완벽한 챔피언이 아니라
Yone is not a perfect champion, especially for competitive games, but the pilot also matters a lot here.
이게 그리고 아까 하나생명 같이 있는 침묵
A very split vote over to the sport player as well, which means that Hana Life, all of the players are actually coming online.
오히려 하나생명 e스포츠 입장에서 기분 좋은 신호일 것 같습니다.
It's a very promising signal over to Vista as well, because he has been also coming up
네.
and stepping up throughout the past week here in the LCK.